Our charter board would like to go.
We will call to order the meeting of the Monrovia Unified School District, and at 7:03, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance by Plymouth Elementary School.
Good evening, Board President Hammond, board members, not Dr. Teresi, but cabinet members, members of the community. It's my pleasure to introduce two of our amazing Plymouth students who will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance, Eva Perez and Riley Renderis.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appropriate time to, oh, perfect, okay. It's an honor to serve as principal at Plymouth Elementary, where we continue to find ways to promote 21st century skills in our students. And just this week, we celebrated the grand opening of our Makerspace, which was a culmination of more than a full year of concerted efforts by our PTA. The Plymouth Makerspace promises to inspire creativity, problem solving, innovation, teamwork, and critical thinking. Our Makerspace motto is explore, create, repeat. And it's a place where students will have the tools and the inspiration to create with their own two hands. I'm actually going to step aside and let three of our amazing teachers describe our weekly student news video broadcast that they recently launched. It's my pleasure to welcome Mrs. Carol Shea, Miss Kelly Curtis, and Miss Becky Sue.
Hello. So we wanted to figure out a way to build more community in our school, and we wanted to include the voices of the students that go to our school. So we thought, what better way than to push out a school news every week. So we've been trying it out, and we've been taking in some suggestions, and hopefully we'll get to add some more of our students' ideas to the videos. And do we have one to show? Or, okay.
Welcome to Dragon News.
Hello, Dragons. My name is Mia Wright.
And my name is Devin Stack. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, and we have cloudy skies. Hopefully the sun peeks through.
Sometimes clouds look like animals or things. Have you seen any clouds that look like something today?
Actually, I did. I saw a pig.
That's cool. So, Dragons, if you're walking outside, check and see if you can see something in the clouds.
There's no school next Monday for staff and service day.
Now let's take a look at the classroom minute in Miss Curtis's class. Classroom minute.
Can you show us what you're reading? What are you reading? Show me your book. What are you reading? What are we reading, Bruce? Is that what you're reading too? What are you reading over here? What are you reading over there? Can you show me?
Really great things.
Now join us for the Plymouth chant. Good, better, best. Never will I rest till my good is my better and my better is my best.
Now signing off.
See you later, dragons.
And both Eva and Riley are two of our broadcasters. That's one reason why they were chosen to lead the flag. So I'll bring them back up here so we can honor them. Yeah.
The dragons are very impressive. Thank you guys for coming out. Next, we have our roll call. Dr. Taroshian is excused, as well as our student board member. Everyone else to be in their places with bright, smiley faces. Up next is the approval of minutes. May I please entertain a motion for our regular meeting? Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Maybe please have a vote.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Up next is the approval of minutes for the joint meeting with the Monrovia City Council. Entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Let me please have a vote.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Abstain.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Up next are recognitions, and is it Mr. Lujan going to be making the introductions this evening?
Good evening, President Hammond, members of the school board and cabinet. It is my pleasure to serve as your associate principal at the high school. It's also my pleasure to introduce one of Monrovia's own. The leader of our IT pathway is a former Wildcat, graduated 2007, and it's our privilege to have him on our campus. He is a very strong teacher who knows and understands his students, passionate about what he does, and this accolade tonight, the awards that these young gentlemen earned just a couple weeks ago, is a testament to the hard work in this pathway. So, Mr. Anthony Karlson, I'd like to introduce you. If you can introduce your students for us.
President Hammond, members of the board, thank you again so much for having us here to recognize these young men. Certainly don't deserve that introduction, but I'll take it. Yeah, really, all accolades go to the wonderful talent that we have at MHS. If I do anything, I'm only one to recognize that talent. We have amazing youth that I get to work with and see every day. And this is just a small sample of that. Because the program is so new, I only see it flourishing. I only see it getting bigger and stronger with the more opportunities that we connect these young men with. So, without further ado, actually, really quick before going on. So the event we participated in was a hackathon. We can see the word up there, and just to dispel any social stigmas about that word hack. As soon as we see the word hack, we think criminal, dark hoodie, black screen with green text. Not so. And this will stand to testament again of what an amazing job these students did. A hackathon is simply a gathering of programmers, of people who like to think and solve problems. And they're often given some kind of prompt, some kind of problem to solve, and they throw 150% into whatever time limit they have to solve this problem, and that's exactly what they did. Competing in a great arena with the RMDS Data Labs, who manage big data globally. So it was really an awesome opportunity for us, and our team really pulled through. So let me bring them up here for you just to introduce them. Nicholas Kang. We have Logan DeBetta. And Ethan Simmons. And his brother Jonah Simmons. Thank you guys, you did great. Thank you.
Good to see you again. Great to see you again. Good to see you again. Great job.
And this is for these three? Okay, got it.
Mr. Carlson, you said that hearing the word hack conjures up ideas of people in dark hoodies in front of a black screen. I have to admit, and I'm showing my age, when I first heard about this, I thought you guys were playing hacky sack, and I thought, can I play too? So,
I would like to say something about Mr. Carlson. I have known him for a very long time. He played drums with my son, and having him come back home to teach the new Wildcats, we are so lucky to have you. He was here for a short spell when he first became a teacher. He left and decided that he really needed to be home to fulfill his obligation to himself, and then he gives this gift to his students. Thank you so very, very much for choosing us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you.
But wait, there's more. We're not done with the hackathon yet. I would like to bring forward 3 of our community members that were very instrumental in promoting the hackathon, sponsoring the hackathon. And without these 3 community members, our students wouldn't have known about this, and we would not have been able to participate and prevail. So I would love to bring forward Lois Gaston. Who is a generous soul who loves our kids. Lois here. I'm a wildcat. You're a wildcat, of course.
Class of 1953.
And I'd like to bring forward Councilman Samuel King from the Mayor Samuel King, City of Duarte. And last but not least, Larry Spicer, Councilman Mayor Larry Spicer, Mayor Pro Tem. So our city councils and our community has just come to knit a great big lift for our kids and to lift them up into this experience. So I would just love to give another round of applause to these people. Now it's picture time. We're gonna, I think we need to bring them all back up after we do you guys separately.
Yes, so there's more. Good evening, Board President Hammond, MUSD Cabinet, Board of Education, Dr. Jackson, and MUSD cabinet. So Mr. Spicer and Dr. Kaiser and Mayor Kang and Ms. Gaston all worked together to make sure over 20 Santa Fe kids could attend the hackathon. And it was an all-day event. They provided so much wonderful service. It was such a wonderful gathering, and it truly was a community coming together to support its youth. And the symbolism of the moment is not lost when we see what we have wildcats from that have over a century ago. But let's just, yeah, it is. We say that with pride, right? Last century. Right, yeah. So, but look at what they're doing to the next generation of this community, right? Look what they're doing. So they're literally moving us forward. That's just fabulous. So these are 3 6th grade students who I didn't know what a hackathon was either, and it's an all-day event with serious amounts of computing and mathematics. It's heavy. Okay, so recognize, please, that this team over here was first place, this team was second place, and Polytechnic High School was third place. Right. So, and I don't know if these 3 6th graders even knew what they were getting into, but there were literally times and hours that went by where I thought, I don't know what they're doing, but they do. It was impressive. And what was more impressive, that these 6th graders right here, I think what really got them to the position where they were with their team was that they were able to make the data tell a story. And so they were really the collaboration, the creativity, the innovation, and the language arts skills, which we work so hard on every day, right, Dr. Kaiser, were in full effect. So it was just a wonderful learning day, not only for myself, but just I felt such the love from the community and the support, and it really has inspired me to continue to give these wonderful opportunities for kids. So we're looking for more hackathons right now. So without further ado, I would like to recognize Emilia Casas, Michael Hernandez, and Alyssa Pino. Congratulations.
Before you leave your seats, may I add a bit to this? I want you to realize that I'm here by a fluke, because Sam paid for everything. I just made some calls. Larry got the word out, and this all took place during the Thanksgiving holiday. The pastor of the New Hope Church in DeWarty got out of bed, and at 7:30 in the morning, he drove the bus that took the kids, Monrovia kids only, to Pasadena. And it wasn't at the City College, it was at the convention center. That's just how big it was. He also went back and picked them up and brought them back. It's unusual for a pastor to avail himself on a Saturday. Dr. George Salter, he's a Monrovia resident, by the way, and someone that I call on often, who always helps whenever we need something for kids. We extended this invitation to DeWarty. They went on Friday, on a day when that teacher got paid. It was mandatory for those kids to go. Your children decided to go on a Saturday, and this man here, he's an extraordinary teacher who would take on that on a Saturday, okay? And go. I just wanted to make sure that everybody, I would put this in perspective. And Larry Spicer, I was ready to give up because I hadn't had any responses, I thought. But Larry always never quits. So I really wanted to make sure that you knew the full story. Your students are unbelievable. I could not believe it that I heard that you guys, what'd you split, $1,000 was your prize? Wow. You get up on a Saturday and you get $250 for going and somebody feeds you lunch? Congratulations. And when I heard that Santa Fe came in, No one told me how much money you got. My God, I'd have hung around and gotten some of that when you got back. Congratulations. Excuse me for doing that, but I thought you needed to know.
We want to put everybody up now. Now let's do a picture with the whole team.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Oh, no problem. Have a great meeting. Thank you. Let's go to church.
No.
Before you leave, Mr. Spicer and
Bring it
Mr.
with me.
Kang and Miss Gaston, your magnanimity transcends generations and boundaries, coming from Duarte and from Monrovia, and political spectrums and religious spectrums and all of the spectrums, and to have that come together with this great success is just so amazing and so wonderful, and we're so grateful.
And if I may, board members, thank you very much for taking this time today to recognize us. And we are actually not worthy to do this, but really want to appreciate the kids. The kids were the one that were so inspirational, and they did probably more than 8 hours of data hacking. And if they do any more, then you have to go and pay them overtime. But they, oh my gosh, they knew what they were doing too. And let me tell you a little bit more why we did this hackathon is because I really believe that future is about data. We were preaching about the jobs of the future. And if you look globally, a lot of these countries, they're already teaching Python. When Python it's not a snake, but it's actually a programming language that a lot of these other countries in Asia and also in Europe, when they're teaching them in grade school, in third grade through fourth grade. By the time I think they're in sixth grade, they're very very they know Python very, very fluently, and so we need to recognize that. We need to somehow find ways that we need to be more competitive in this global market. That's why I seeked out Councilman Spicer, and also Lois Gaston, our previous mayor from the city of Doherty, for their help to get the students. It's just so happened you guys brought in so many students, and your students were they were fantastic. So thank you again. I really appreciate this, and have the opportunity to go ahead and work with your students. I am definitely looking forward to working with you guys and also with your students in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, we have board member reports and Ms. Lockerbie.
Thank you so much, President Hammond. I just wanted to mention briefly, just to give an update, and I apologize that I don't have the wonderful pictures that that were presented at the Traffic Safety Committee meeting last week, but as an update to how the city is working on the intersection of Mayflower and Olive. As I'd mentioned before, it's a tricky corner, and we're all concerned as community members about the safety there. And the Traffic Safety Committee is working on making improvements there. And they have had engineers that have been working on that, and members of MPD, and the city have all really addressed this issue, and they are moving forward with making that intersection safer for pedestrians and for all traffic. So I'd like to say a special thank you to the city for continuing to work on that and ensure the safety of our students.
Thank you. Ms. Travanti.
Yes, thank you, President Hammond. And I wasn't going to do a board report, but I changed my mind because anytime I have an opportunity to talk about vaping, I'm going to take that opportunity. So today I had the privilege of being invited to the Monrovia Chamber of Commerce board meeting today, and to discuss the anti-vaping program, an initiative that we have here going in our school district, and also jointly with the city of Monrovia, with the mayor, Tom Adams, and council members. And I gave that full presentation, what was it, a couple weeks ago when we had our joint council meeting regarding vaping, and I gave all the statistics and everything else related to vaping. So they were very interested. There were at least 30 people at the table there from various local businesses, and they were, very interested in what we had to say and what we're doing through our grants and future grants that we're attempting to get. So I enjoyed speaking to them regarding our vaping issues nationwide and locally.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We will not be having a student board member report this evening. So we'll look, or do you have it? Okay, then we have it. And are you going to be doing it, Dr. Jackson?
I will do so.
Now playing the role of student board member.
I am. And this is what she said. Good evening, President Hammond, members of the board, Dr. Tarosian, Dr. Jackson, members of cabinet, and the Monrovia community. On behalf of Canyon Oaks and Mountain Park Schools, we would like to wish you a very happy new year. We kicked off our second term with a success week that included building positive school culture, outlining academic and attendance expectations, teaching lessons on digital citizenship and the dangers of vaping, as well as a school-wide all right. Our many database queries all rights have continued to help measure growth as part of our school-wide focus on literacy. This DBQ focused on the achievements of the Mayan nation and had students engaged in meaningful discussions and high-quality writing. We are pleased to report that we completed an undefeated basketball season in the San Gabriel Valley Continuation League. And lastly, our career tech education teacher, Mr. Tadis Ross, who appeared before us a few board meetings ago, traveled to Monterey, California earlier this month to compete in the California League of Schools speech contest against other regional winners across the state. The competition was tough, but Mr. Ross did it again. He won the title of Educator of the Year from the California League of Schools. We are so proud of Mr. Ross's continued successes and are grateful for all that he has done for our schools and our community.
Yeah, let's give him a round of applause.
Great student report.
Great student report. Now, playing the part of Dr. Tarosian, Dr. Jackson.
We have one superintendent's update here. The Hippy Bots are back in the news, literally. They've been invited to the first Tech Challenge robotics competition in Barcelona, as they have continued to excel in these competitions. And ABC 7 actually did a recent report on them, so we're going to highlight that on this reel here.
Have been chosen as the sole U.S. representative in the first Tech Challenge Barcelona Championship. Contest is being held in Spain next month, but as Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter explains, the team needs help getting to the tournament.
A robot on the run as Team Hippy Bots masters the moves, getting ready for an international competition. Not only is the robotics team from Clifton Middle School in Monrovia the only U.S. team invited to compete next month in Spain, they are also some of the youngest.
We will be going against college students, and as a middle school, it's amazing that we're going to be able to have this opportunity and go against them.
All we can really do is just put in the work and try to make up ground there, and that's been a hallmark of the Hippy Bots for years now.
For endgame, we're thinking about using this extending slide.
The school started the program 6 years ago and has been building award-winning teams ever since, despite the fact most of the students have no prior robotics training. 9 7th and 8th graders are part of this year's team. Each member of the Hippy Bots assigned a task to help make their robot come to life. From designing to building to programming, the Hippy Bots building their robot from the ground up.
It's kind of cool seeing it all come together and be able to perform certain tasks. Kind of weird that you think a robot could just program and build and it just can do whatever you want.
The team working after school and on weekends to make their bot the best, and in the process learning they can't do it alone.
My favorite part of robotics is working together as a team. And seeing us work together, I like to see that when we come together, we can get a lot of stuff accomplished.
And hopefully that will include taking the top spot at the International Championship. But the team needs your help to do it. They are struggling to raise funds for the trip. A GoFundMe account has been set up to help the Hippy Bots roll to victory. Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
We actually have the GoFundMe link here that we wanted to display here.
And if I could say something, Dr. Jackson, Mr. Flores is the teacher mentor over there at Clifton. He does a phenomenal job. I mean, every single student that they showed on there are friends with my daughter, and they interact all the time. They spend a lot of time at that school. I mean, it's not exaggerated. Every evening they are there. Every weekend they are there. And Mr. Flores is there with him. So he's been a great teacher mentor. So kudos to him too. So
this is so inspiring and so exciting and makes me proud. I know it makes all of us so proud. We saw the news report live on TV last night, and my kids said, "Oh my gosh, those are our kids!" So it was just really, really exciting. I'm so proud of them.
We'd like to encourage everybody in the community, if you'd like to be a part of this, any amount would be appreciated by the team to help get them there. They have a $25,000 budget to be able to move the team and their sponsors, the people that are going to make sure, their chaperones, to make sure everybody's safe traveling. So if you're so inclined and want to help support the Hippy Bots, please go on to the GoFundMe for the Hippy Bots GoFundMe page and help out in whatever amount you're able to help out, and be greatly appreciated. And the amazing thing about this is our kids from Monrovia, California, population less than 40,000 people, are the sole participants in the United States. That is a heck of an honor, and we deserve to be able to help our kids get there so they can do their very, very best. So please, if you can, join in.
I'd like to add a little bit, Rob, and that is, there are a lot of people that say, don't you think it's a little bit pretentious to say it's a world-class school with world-class students? I don't think so.
No.
We laid this challenge out as our motto several years back. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of an interesting motto, but I like it because that's our challenge, is to make this school district a place that we can bring our students up so that they compete in the world markets of tomorrow. And certainly the teachers and staff and volunteers have stepped up. This is the third year that this team has gone to an international competition as the sole U.S. representative. And they are middle school students. And a lot of the competitors there are high school, and some of them are college teams, and they've accounted themselves very well, and I'm sure they will again this year. And that is our goal, to be world-class in program and world-class in students, and our students just continue to make us as proud. So as a community, we need to support them to help them to get there. Please do that.
Ms. Lockerbie.
I just now went to their GoFundMe page, and they have raised $9,623, and they need $25,000. So give what you can. It'll really help them out.
Say 5,055. Okay, let me get out. Here.
Oh, you brought that up.
Never
Oh,
mind.
this, yeah, just now. So
Is it different?
they're doing
from this?
better.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody. Is that all, Dr. Jackson?
That concludes my
That's
report.
a good report, though. Good job. Up next, we have public comment. The board encourages public participation in the meeting. If you would like to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda, simply fill out a speaker card, and you shall be heard. Do we happen to have any?
There are none.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak to the board on any matter that is not on the agenda? Seeing and hearing no one, I'll close that portion. I'll take up the matter of public comments on the agenda. Simply fill out a speaker card, and you shall be heard. Do we have any cards?
There are none.
Anyone in the audience wishing to speak on any item that is on the agenda? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that, and we'll move on to informational reports. Up first, we have a local control accountability plan, also known as LCAP, and Dr. Kaiser will give the report.
Good evening, President Hammond, Board, Dr. Jackson. Tonight, we would like to review with you the opening of LCAP season. We are in the season. And this year we will be having a new template. Our plan was a 3-year plan, and it's not that that plan is completely sunsetting, but we will be revising it in a new template. Tonight, what I'd like to do is review with you and the public the local control accountability plan presentation. It's a very brief presentation that Courtney and I will be giving in several different venues in our district to be able to collect data and to be able to collect input from our stakeholders and our constituents. In the past, we've had some community meetings, and we've gathered our data through that and through some surveys. And the input has been light. We want to gather more input this year, so we will be doing the same types of surveys. But in addition to that, we will be going out to all of the PTA meetings in the entire district, the coffee with the principals, to be able to contact and touch as many parents and parent groups as possible, to staff meetings and to the principal meeting. In addition to that, we will be meeting with student groups in every one of our schools to gather input via a survey. So we're going to go through a little very brief presentation that is the same presentation that we will be giving in these venues. And the question is, how do we spend $6 million? What does that look like? So the purpose of the LCAP is meant to bring the programs together to support student learning. And these funds are to be used to supplement, not supplant, our current programs. So that means in addition to, it's not where we're teaching English and now we can fund English teaching with these funds. It has to be in addition to for our students who are struggling. So the LCAP funds, the big rule is to supplement, not to supplant our current programs. And the students that we're serving with these funds are three populations: our English learners, our foster youth, our homeless, and our low income. And we have three big goals. Three major goals for the programs and the items and the people that are funded to support these goals. And so Courtney is going to walk us through what those three big goals are.
Good evening, President Hammond, Board, Dr. Jackson, and the Cabinet. Thank you for having us today. So we have three goals in our LCAP. In my short time in my new job, talking to my counterparts at other districts, some districts have had in the two courses of the LCAP as many as 12 goals, and they realized how silly that was, and they have pretty much all brought theirs down to at most 5, many at 3 or 4 goals. So the information that we're going to see here is what is in the current LCAP. The current LCAP, which is from the year 2017 to the year 2020. So it was the fall of 2017 when it became active and in place, and it sunsets. It closes out in June 30th of this year. And as Dr. Kaiser said, we're getting a new template with maybe some new processes to go with it. I get to learn all about that next week as we kick off a new 3-year cycle, the 2020 to 2023 LCAP. So the information that you're about to see is the $6.2 million for this year, the 2019-2020 school year. So goal number 1 is high academic achievement for all of our students. And you can see $3.9 million there spent 3 different ways: people, programs, site funds. That's pretty much 2/3 of the budget. So it's a big chunk. Now we're going to look at how each of those 3 categories is. The people that are funded. We have our instructional specialists in the district. We have 8 instructional specialists who are funded through the LCAP. We have a data specialist who works here at the district office to support principals, to support administrators here at the district office, getting data, providing data so that we can make informed decisions. And it pays for a partial salary on the intervention coordinator at Monrovia High School. The programs that are supported, we have our iCoach program, which has between 2 and 5 teachers who are specially trained and then go out and train others on educational technologies. And this covers their program, conferences, extra hours, sub days to cover those programs. On Monday, when the kiddos get to stay home and all the teachers come to work, that's our professional development day, our staff in-service days. The LCAP funds those days. Read and Math 180, an intervention program at both middle schools and the high school, is funded here. The advanced placement trainings, the AP classes for the high school trainings and other things to support those classes, along with AVID at both middle schools and the high school, are funded here. LCAP support technologies and science, NGSS, the new science curriculum is coming. We've brought in some things to supplement and help teachers as we transition curriculum and standards. And so that's funded here. And then our TK or K, not TK, K through 8 summer school that we offer as intervention and for our English language learner students. And our site funds, each school is provided some site funds through the LCAP. Those funds are distributed in their single plan for student achievement, or their SIPSAs, and those are decided upon, voted upon by their school site councils. Goal number 2, 3rd grade literacy. The data shows that if we can get kiddos to read, write, and do their math in 3rd grade, that they're going to be successful, that they're going to graduate from high school and go on to a successful postgraduate time. And so that became a kind of the key piece there. And you can see this is a much smaller chunk of money devoted to that goal. People and programs. The people, each of the 5 elementary schools has an interventionist, and this pays for part of those salaries. And we have 2 people who come on as consultants who are coaching our principals, all of the principals at each school site. The programs funded in this one are intervention, specifically for our dual immersion, which is growing now to multiple schools, not just one. And that's used for extra hours, for tutoring, for conferences, for materials, as they need everything that we might get a school in English, we also need to get in Spanish and now in Mandarin. So the materials to supplement those programs. Goal number 3 is student engagement. And student engagement is pretty much the other third. We had the almost $4 million in goal number 1 and a little over $2 million in engagement. So we have achievement and engagement are essentially our 2 spots here. The people slide, there's a lot of people, so be ready. Lots of people here. All of the directors, you'll see the word director, those are district office personnel. We have our college career counselor director and her support staff, pays part of her salary and their salaries. Pays for a portion of the Monrovia High School counselor salaries. Pays for the Monrovia Unified chunk of the school resource officer's salary. Pays for partial salary of the Monrovia High School community liaison. Pays for a portion of the student support services director and her support staff here at the district office. The performing arts director and his support staff, again a partial. Pays for partial salaries on the Monrovia High School assistant principals. And the ed services director, that's myself, again partial of my salary. The programs that are supported by the LCAP, the technology pathways, which you saw actually up here earlier with the hackathon. We do support Anthony Carlson's program and other CTE programs going through the high school. Marketing and publicity for the district, and the Code of the Future program, which is at 3 of our schools, are all supported here. You see the iCoach program again. I put this together, this slideshow, based on the line items of the budget, and the iCoach is in there in 2 different places, and I almost deleted it, but I felt it was important to see that we see that as both achievement and engagement. Technology is there to also help engage our students, so it's in both places, in both goals. And then PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, providing the funds to send to trainings and help with the PBIS that is happening at each of our school sites. This last slide here is just a different way to look at how the money is spent, looking at it as opposed to through the 3 goals, through the 3 different ways the money is spent. And the last slide, I'm not going to put it up there quite yet, just to make sure the understanding as we go out and we kind of have this, take the show on the road here. The last slide is a QR code for the survey for everyone to take. And the idea being that the first question is, what is your role? Are you a community member? Are you a parent? Are you a student? Or are you a staff member? And then it asks you different questions based on what your role is, with 2 perspectives in mind. It's what is going well, whether that's achievement or academics, and then what do you need? So we're really focusing on what's going well, what's working well for either you as the child or your child as a parent, or for you as the teacher, or for what you perceive as a community member, what's going well. And then also, what do we need? What do you see that we need more of as a school site? And so that's kind of the lens through which the questions are asked of both achievement and engagement for students and parents. So it's what's going well and what do we need. And so this QR code for now is in the slide. It is on the back. This paper is at the back in the foyer, and you can get this. After the community events, which are in February, we will begin to post this on the website. We will begin to put this in emails out to everybody. We will put it at school sites. For now, we're not putting it out there to everybody yet, unless of course they're grabbing it now, because we want to make sure people are informed when they reply, that they understand what are we talking about when we say how is your student doing? What is going well for your student? We want to make sure they understand kind of the perspective of what we're referring to with the LCAP, with the funding here, and then how input to that will help. So when the big meetings happen, there will be some discussion that we will have, and then we will go to the survey. So there you go.
Questions?
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. So last year I was the liaison to LCAP along with President Hammond, and this year it's Celine and I. So I'm just trying to, you know, based on this new template, this new format that you're going to be using. Last year I was involved with all the meetings. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to be involved. I don't know what your schedule is like, but this is a lot of meetings, and so how do you see us, you know, being part of this new template? Tell me how our role is going to look like.
These community meetings are very redundant. They're the same meeting over and over and over again, so that we can reach out into the schools, so that we're not just surveying the people that are in this room. The community meetings will be the large community forums, and so this is February 24th and February 25th. These will be repeats of the same meeting. Then we'll have another one in March. And so these are those large meetings that will include the community members that we had last year with stakeholders from all ends of the district. The meetings that you see here, the large list, these are the redundant meetings, so that we can go out and make sure that we are canvassing the neighborhood for input and for responses on our survey, so that we could have a really robust database when we go to look at, you know, where are we hitting the mark as a district and as a department, and where do we need to look at improvement? And so that's what the two questions are really geared at. What are we doing well? What do we want to retain? And then there may be some things that we prune out that don't get mentioned, that have died, that no longer are serving us, that we've been working on in our programs. And then make room for some of those things where people are saying, you know, really, this is what our need is. And so we'll be looking at how do we triangulate that data to pull that together. So the big community meetings will remain. The first one will be February 24th and 25th. They'll be the same meeting, just giving people two options. And then these others are all very redundant, so that we can reach into the community.
All right, thank you for explaining that. And then also the meeting that you referred to in March, that is going to be a culmination of all the data and all the responses that you've received, and then board members, Celine and I, will be in attendance for the March meeting.
Right, and we'd also like you there in the February.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I was putting that in my calendar to make sure. Public input and input from our students and our parents, from everybody, is crucial. You had mentioned in the beginning of your presentation that your input is light and you'd like to get more. What are you doing differently this year than in past years to try and increase the input from our community?
We are going out into the community by going out into the schools. In the past, we sent out the survey link broad-based in email. The last couple of years, and we had more input last year than we did the year before, but it still wasn't representative of the whole cross section of our community. And you know, every school, you know, there may be 3 responses from one school, 100 from another school. We really want to have a better balance, and so by going into the schools, into these meetings that are the regular meetings that are well attended in our schools, we can really reach parents that are active in the community, and then we will be sending it out broad-based the way that we have before too, so that it'll be going to everyone in the community. So what's different this year is the TLC, the face-to-face contact with our stakeholders.
So previously you hadn't been to like the coffees with the principals or the PTA, PTSA meetings?
Correct.
Wonderful, thank you.
I applaud you for thinking out of the box. I think this is a great idea, a great concept. You're going out to the school sites where they're already comfortable and they know their way around the school site. They know the principal, they know folks there. So I'm really, truly hoping that you get a good turnout at each one of these meetings and that you get a really good cross-sector of our students, represented there at the meeting. So I look forward to hearing how it goes.
Thank you.
And we will have translators available at the school sites at those meetings?
We will need to check in with our administrators, and we will strive for that, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Thank you for improving on this.
You're welcome.
Up next, we have the very important audit report, and Ms. Wu will give the report, please.
Yes. Good evening, President Hammond, Board of Education, Dr. Jackson, and Cabinet and the community members. So the Niagara, the Professional Accountant Corporation is our independent audit. They conduct a 18-19 school years audit report. Everybody has, the board member has a copy of the audit report. If not, Shoshana has extra copy, so you can take a look at it. Okay. So on page 1 in the independent audit report, the auditor issued a clean opinion, which is the best opinion audit normally present in their auditor report. Basically say that our financial statement is presented fairly according to rule regulations. So the major event in what happened in 18-19 is, beside our regular operation, as a board record that we finished the Proposition 9, the grant funding for the HVAC project, which at Plymouth at the end Clifton. We finished the majority project with board support during the process. Due to change of the carrier from train to carrier, and to the change of the vendor, and we were able to cut half of the total project cost. So we are in the process of the closing the project. So once we finish, we will definitely keep the board informed. The other thing is we purchased 5 new buses. We did not go to borrow money. We used the internal borrowing vehicle so that save the interest. The other things will have no major impact, but there will be major impact in this year because in 18-19, due to the San Gabriel Valley JPA dissolution for the property liability and the works comp, we joined the ASCAPE. So we have a major event happening this year. I will report when this year's audit report due. So I want to bring to the board attention on the audit report page 41. Actually, in the first section, also first section index template.
And Connie, I just want to do one thing.
Okay.
That part that you just talked about right now is extremely important for folks to understand what that is, and that's insurance.
That's correct.
And the insurance and how that is handled has been changed, and it's significant savings to the district, but it also created a vehicle where all bills that were held in the past were being assumed by this new company coming forward. So there's a big bill that will end up saving us a lot of money in the back.
That's
so
correct.
I wanted to make people very clear on that when you're saying there's a big deal, and then you use the name of the company that people, it's insurance.
Yeah, thank you. The detail the agreement is happening the 1920 school year. So when we will report for detail when the 1920 school year auditor comes. So the page 41 I will bring to everybody's attention is this page basically shows the information. The district have GO bond. So when the GO bond, the current GO bond will be paid off, it is listed on the page 41, the first top of page, note 7. And then the certificate of participation, that is our the COP for the Canyon loan, we were paid off in 2025. That's a payment schedule on that deadline, so it's very clear for the reference. And the other report is bring to the board attention is, unfortunately, we have one finding this year for the 1819 audit report, because the auditor notified us that their rule or regulation changes, the district required the BP and AR for the federal grant. So we don't have it, and we process it, and the board approved on January 8th. That's the second reading, and we approve it. Because of we're not knowing it, but the guideline require them, because we don't have it starting the July 1st, 2019 school year, they have to put this as a finding. But we already corrected. So the finding is, before we don't have this policy, but we do have a policy, but our operation never violated any rule regulation. We are not aware of this policy. We use existing policy for the procurement guideline. There's no finding for our operation because we lack of the policy itself check this finding. So I just want to board know it's funny because we don't have policy. Now we already have the policy.
And Connie, would you, just for clarity, explain what BP and AR stand for? Board policy
and the administrative regulations.
So
yeah.
those are just policies and board policies and administrative regulations that needed to be reworded.
Yeah, we need to establish, and that's a guideline for the district operation. Yeah. So in addition of this, there's no finding area, and the state federal program, we're in compliance. That's the only things we have. So I want to bring to the board attention. That's all the report. There's no major discrepancy, no major finding, and everything is normal. And then the auditor just gave the input for our continue the internal control with its SB and the other miscellaneous. So we already talked to the site and enforce the rule regulations.
Any questions?
I just wanted to make normally we have the auditors come and provide this. So it's important for the people who are listening to understand what this is. So this is a third party who comes in and looks at all of our financials to make sure that everything looks correct, that we're following accounting guidelines, and to make sure that we are on the right track. So the key is, first off, is that they're signing off that we did everything correct, that we're looking good. So the next big thing, if they find something wrong, it's deemed as what they call a finding. So they found something that is materially wrong with what we are doing. And in this particular case, we had a finding in that we did not have a policy created that we needed to have in order to do grants and so forth. It's not unusual to have a finding, especially if it's a new rule that comes out, because a lot of times they'll overlap. So if we had something in place that was like it, but it didn't meet what the new rules were, it'll still be a finding, and then the next time they come in, we need to demonstrate that it's been corrected. So in this particular case, we had already gone through the process, we've corrected everything, so although there's a finding, it's not as significant because it's already been resolved and it didn't have any material impact on any of our finances or the way that we were doing things. The next step underneath the finding is an observation, in which we have, I think, 8 or 9 of them. Now, an observation is not a finding. It is not something that's material, but they are something that they see that says, you could do better on this. This is a potential for a problem if it isn't corrected. So there's a list of a number of items in which they'll take samples and they'll say 3 out of 16 failed, and they failed all for the same reasons. You should put something in place so it doesn't happen again. So although they are not major issues and it hasn't created a problem as of yet, a lot of it is policy and procedure of not having 2 people sign or have something in place where the rules are being followed consistently, followed sometimes but not always. This is an opportunity for us internally to get control of things so we don't have a problem going in the future. So, you know, this is an important document for us as a district as a check to make sure that all the people we're relying on are doing the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, and to tighten up things that can be tightened up. So what I would like to see in the coming weeks is a game plan for the various observations that were found. And they give recommendations on what they suggest can be done to tighten things up. The recommendations aren't always feasible, because they see it and then they just give a response regardless of how big your organization is. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we absolutely should have a fix in place so it doesn't happen again. There are certain areas within this district that we tend to have ongoing problems with. And we need to be vigilant to make sure that we don't slide back into bigger problems that we've had in the past. So I'm just asking that I think this all in all is a good report. I think it's pretty solid. We're in good shape. I will feel much better knowing that we have an actual game plan to take care of all of the observations.
Sure, I will put in this week's update.
All right, perfect. And thank you, Mr. Wong, because you pretty much iterated everything that was going through my mind as we were going through this, and the observations that were cited in the very back of this book. You know, definitely I have some concerns, and we do need a game plan on these things, because they are vulnerabilities. You know, there are potential for issues, and I want to say one of these observations that were cited is not the first time that it's been in this report. So I definitely want to see something done about this.
Yeah. Would.
Direction's clear? Ms. Wu?
Yes.
Direction's clear?
Very clear. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Up next, we have the consent calendar. Items of routine business are placed and taken in one vote. Each of the items that are done have been reviewed by our staff and are to be presented before the board. Do we have any items to be pulled, Mr. Jackson?
No, we do not.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on consent.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Second? Okay. Any discussion? May we please have a vote?
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
First on action items is from Ed Services, and Dr. Kaiser will give the staff report on public review of a recommended textbook.
Thank you, Board President Hammond and Board. The Board of Education is requested to accept for public review prior to adoption the following curriculum for the Mandarin Dual Immersion Program called Mandarin Matrix. The current program being used is Better Chinese. While this program sufficed in the infancy of the dual immersion program, it lacked the rigor and depth of knowledge as the grade levels progressed. Mandarin Matrix provide a solid Mandarin immersion program with rigor from the kindergarten through grade 6. The Mandarin Immersion program was discovered when the Mandarin teachers attended a Mandarin Dual Immersion Conference, a statewide conference, and they were comparing notes with other teachers that teach Mandarin across the state. And when they were looking at the Mandarin Matrix, they were noticing that the Better Chinese that they were using was lacking in several different skill areas. And so we did a price comparison to see what the yearly price would be moving forward. And we found that the Mandarin Matrix, while they felt that it was better, is actually a little bit less expensive than the Better Chinese. And so we're requesting that we take a look at this for adoption, making a change midstream at Plymouth Elementary School in their Mandarin Dual Immersion program. These books will be on display for the public to see. As per the textbook rules.
Any questions?
Dr. Kaiser, we haven't done for quite a while. We haven't really laid out there what that procedure is. So, suppose somebody wanted to take a look at this and examine the content. What would be the procedure for someone, board member or anyone in the public, to actually review the book?
We place the books in our lobby after they've been examined and selected by the constituent group that would be utilizing the books. And they're placed in the lobby for public review for 30 days. And if the public come and they look at them and there's any objection or any questions, they're free to contact my office and to do a further review. And then they can approach the board at the 2 meetings from now, where these books would then be adopted, and they would have an opportunity to respond and to express their opinion.
So they would come in and tell the receptionist they'd like to look at the book, and the review is done here unless they have some reason to contact you for further review.
Right, and they're welcome to contact me.
Any other questions?
I have a question. It's important that our teachers be trained in how to use and become familiar with new curricula. It sounds like this curriculum was requested by our Mandarin teachers. How are we going to implement training with this new curriculum? Is there new training that needs to be performed with this new curriculum? How are we going to go about that? How long will it take, and how will we expect that to evolve?
The administrator and the teachers at Plymouth Elementary School have already looked at the training, and they already have a tentative schedule once the adoption is made to go through the training. As they've been utilizing the materials, the company has been very responsive in assisting in the pilot of the program. So they have a great deal of familiarity. The company also will be available to do some training, and they are looking at setting up a schedule for that.
One more question. Unfortunately, since you've been here, I really haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to you about board member review. Are we still getting multiple copies of these books to review, or are we just getting one copy? Because until they're approved, we're not going to buy.
They generally give us the samples to lay out, but if we have a request for more books to share with board members, we can make those requests of the publishing companies. They are happy to give us samples of their books prior to purchase.
How would we evaluate a Mandarin book, we as the board?
I don't know that we would want them. As a board member, maybe we want to look at Mandarin, maybe we want to look at the history book, maybe we want to look at the science book,
Well, I mean
maybe
that
we
it's
want to look
in
at the social science book. So I'm not just talking about this specific book, I'm talking about the process for book review. So while I don't think any of us currently speak Mandarin, so we're probably not going to do a thorough review of that book. You know, particularly some of the social science books, sometimes we want to take a little closer look at those. So I'm just trying to check what the availability is to board members to take home and really do a deep dive into what.
I have in the past requested copies of those books for myself, and I've taken them and read them. Also, when we changed some testing, I took the materials so I could take the test, so I knew what the test was that we were asking the kids to do. You know, I passed the 3rd grade, I want you to know. But, you know, when we change something, I with Ed, I want to know usually what the heck it is. We went through a lot of detail not that long ago on sex ed. And I went through all of that material before to make sure what we were going to be giving to our students. So, I mean, I agree with Ed. If a board member wants a copy of that to have, we should be able to get a copy of it. As the representative of the folks here in the community, if we don't understand it, we're the first line of defense to them. So we should probably understand as much as we can.
So is everybody okay with this coming back in consent if there's no negative comment? We will, is there any more discussion? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? May I have a vote, please?
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes, and can we have that come back on consent? I think that was Mr. Gillen's. Yes. Up next, we have Dr. Kaiser again on another book.
Thank you, Board President Hammond. The Board of Education is requested to accept for public review prior to adoption history, social science textbooks for secondary schools. And I want to explain a little bit about our adoption process for social studies. It's been a little bit different than the other core adoptions have been, such as language arts or science, where we adopt K-12 all at one time. We began the discussions and the training of our teachers, our secondary teachers, more than a year ago around the framework in social studies. The framework has changed a little bit, but the standards have not. And the materials are more than 20 years old that our teachers are using, so we are in dire need of new textbooks, especially at that secondary level where the social studies books are really used every single day. And so the secondary teachers have gone through extensive training for a full year, and they have piloted many materials that are aligned to the framework and that have the assistance that teachers need in order to deliver adequate lessons to their students that where they are reading and writing and using some primary documents. So our adoption team with representatives from the middle schools and high schools have been reviewing text and other materials that are available to use in the various history, social science courses. And what you'll notice here is that we are putting out 3 different publishers in our high school: McGraw-Hill, Houghton Mifflin, and the Teachers Curriculum Institute. The teachers piloted many different publishers through each of the courses that they teach, and these were the ones that they landed on that they felt were the best aligned to the framework and their teaching style, and that would have longevity for the high school. And so, as you could see here, in the middle school, we're looking at world history and geography, ancient civilizations, world history and geography, medieval and early modern times, and U.S. history and geography, growth and conflict, all by McGraw-Hill for the middle schools. For the high school, we have 2 different publishers: Modern World History by Houghton Mifflin, and then the U.S. History through the lens of National Geographic, Econ Alive, and The Power to Choose and Government Alive, Power, Politics, and You by Teachers Curriculum Institute. So several courses by the Teachers Curriculum Institute. And this will be our new adoption that will span the next 7 years.
Any questions?
Yeah, would you just give me a total of how many books that is? Did I count as you were saying them off? It seemed like there was about 9 books.
Yes, well, it's books for 6th, 7th, 8th.
Well, no, I just wondered what the
10th,
number is. How many
11th,
books?
12th, about 7.
Different books, about 7?
About 7.
Okay, thanks.
And then you may wonder, well, what about elementary? And so the answer to that question is elementary has an adoption every single year, and it's the same teachers that are adopting everything. Whereas in secondary, the history social science teacher is now off the hook for 7 years for a new book. Elementary teachers have to learn a new curriculum every year because they come rapid fire. And so we feel that it's very important for them to take a look at science and to have that science training, because science comes in next year, K-12. The following year, we will pick up history, social science for our elementary teachers, giving them a little bit of breathing space right now.
I'm curious, from the time the board approves a new textbook, when does it actually reach the classroom? What's that time frame?
These books will reach the classroom in the fall. We will continue training throughout the rest of this year. Teachers will have the books over the summer to develop their lesson plans so that they are ready to go with the new materials very comfortably in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
You mentioned that the curricula that we have right now is very old. Maybe not in this regard, but in other regards, or in the elementary school that you mentioned. If we adopt a new textbook, what do we do with the old textbooks? Obviously, 20-year-old textbooks aren't going to fetch a hefty price out on the market. If it's a year old, is there anything that we can do with it?
We do take all of our old textbooks, regardless of how old they are. There are companies that purchase them. A couple of years ago, when we adopted our new English Language Arts program, we had a big bin in front of one of our schools that looked like a trash bin, and there were lots of books that were going in there, and I believe it hit social media that we were just frivolously throwing away books. They were not being thrown away. They were being collected in a receptacle that looked like a trash bin, and it was being lifted up, put onto a truck, and taken for sale to be distributed to children in other countries that don't have anything. And so not all of these materials are recycled.
Any other questions? Bless you. Entertain a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. May we please have a vote?
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Gilliland?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Hammond?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And if it's okay to bring that back too, on consent? Okay.
I have a question. Does it need to be brought back?
Yes.
It needs to be.
Because we'll have to approve it after the public has a shot at it.
So, and it's 30 days for public approval, and then it has to be brought back.
As long as there's no public comments.
Yes, thank you.
So if there's a comment,
It's on
then it comes back onto the agenda.
And
If
it
nobody-
restarts.
Then we have a discussion.
Okay.
Then once we have discussion, we could vote on it at that point in time.
Right.
So
And then
we
it
have
has
to address any conversations or comments publicly as to what it's going to be, and then we can have the vote at that point in time. The reason we put it on consent is if there's no public comments at all, then we assume everything is good to go, and then there'd be really nothing to talk about.
Dr. Jackson, pending board issues.
We have two pending board issues, Board President Hammond. Ms. Wu with a brief update on the front lawn.
As of today, I just contacted the managing partner at the Amigos de Rolls-Royce, and she said that she's still waiting for the result for the Proposition 68 grant application to adjust the MHS front lawn. However, the company also applied another grant for the Santa Fe and the Plymouth School, the project called MUSD Campus Green Infrastructure Development Project. That project, they may hear some information on February 3rd. So one project we're still waiting, and the other project, there will be some information by February 3rd.
Did I hear you say that they applied for grants for two of our other campuses besides the high school?
Yes, earlier.
Did I miss that meeting, or did the board
No,
not
it's
approve that?
there's no meeting, and it's barely just application. So the application, for the Santa Fe and the Plymouth, actually they applied back to December 2018. I may in my update, but I can check. And the high school, they apply in July 2019.
Well, we had long discussions over the high school
That's
application
correct.
and approved how that was going in.
That's right.
But, yeah, we'll need to talk some about what those look like so that we're aware of what is proposed.
Okay.
On whose impetus were these applications made?
So they apply on behalf of the district.
Did they?
And
they just chose to apply, or did the schools reach out to them and say, "Will you apply for a grant"?
I think they approached us, and there's a certain requirement for the grant applicable. For example, the income and the area of income and the infrastructure. So they doing the research, and they approach us, think that we are entitled, because we meet this criteria. So they approach us, so they are willing to, they ask us whether we support the application, and the district agreeing to support the application, then they go into the process.
I'm wondering who we are.
We need to put a little bit of a break on this thing.
Okay.
And that's a cart before the horse.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to sound really terrible, and I'm going to try to phrase it as nicely as I can. We are the school district, the 5 of us.
Okay.
And before someone uses our name to go out and apply for something, we should approve that. Somebody else going and getting something for us is acting not within our guidelines. We haven't given approval for that. We don't even know if we're going to use this company for what we have them tasked to do, because it's not been approved yet. For them to go outside the scope of work that we've already approved that hasn't been completed yet, and they're doing other work, is presumptuous at best on their part.
Yeah.
And we need to have a public discussion if we're going to change the
Right.
landscaping at our school.
We have been removed from the process, and that is not okay, because we are the ones that have to answer questions, and we're blind to it. That's not a good thing. If the board is okayed with this, halt whatever that is until they can come here. We have a staff report. We can ask our questions, and then they can go, if they get approval, to do what it is that they think will be good for us. Them unilaterally thinking that something's good for us is not okay.
President Hammond, I just question if this is covered under the agenda. It is on the pending board list, but it is not agendized as a topic. So we need to, that's why I said we need to have some discussion internally. And
I agree.
Sooner or later, this needs to get on the board agenda.
But I did not see the extra on the things to do. It wasn't there. This is not pending board issues. This is in addition to what it is. The front of the school is what's on the things to do.
Okay.
The other 2 are not on the things to do.
Okay.
And can I get some clarity? Did you say that they have already submitted the grant?
Application.
They've submitted the application
Yeah.
for the grant. So they've already submitted it. And they is Amigos de los Rios?
That's correct.
Okay. And it is under Prop 68, which is what the grant that we're seeking for the front of the high school. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we asked them to apply for a grant for the front of the high school. And they, Amigos de los Rios, included some other schools, some other properties.
It's 2 different things.
Because they realized that, well, because there were a lot of things under Prop 68. So I'm assuming that, or I'm asking, did they say, well, here are some other grants that are available within Prop 68. This is what we can do for these properties?
Yeah,
Or
I just
did
want,
the
I agree.
administrators-
I want to make sure that we're not just verbally blending things together, that the application they put in was for the high school specifically. And when they did that, they said, hey, by the way,
Throw this in.
you might be eligible for these other things. Do you want us to put in the application? I just want a clear understanding of what the actual grant was that they put in. Was it just for the high school? And the other items were discussion points in which no action has been taken by them, but either you or Dr. Throsian gave them direction to move forward? Because I doubt they did it on their own. Did somebody give them direction when they said, hey, here's some other additional money. Do you want us to look into it? And of course, it's all on what they're saying, right? If somebody said, hey, do you want me to look into it and I'll get back to you? Okay. That's a lot different than, hey, I'm going to put in an application on your behalf. No, that's not okay, because you're presuming that the board's going to sign off on it. So, that might be a really small difference in verbiage, but it's a huge difference on what the responsibilities of this board are.
This, if I may, and I'm coming to here.
Sure.
I'm going to take a big leap here. I'm sure it's not nefarious. Okay, that's my leap. It's not nefarious. It is incorrect at best. So it may not be a big deal on this one, but it may be huge on the next that we don't want to see. Obviously, 5 of us tonight are caught a little bit surprised by something that's happened in our name that we're not aware of. That is not good business. So we need to get that corrected. We need to understand exactly what they were charged with, or are they acting independent? That's a key thing to find out. Because if they're acting independent, we may have a partner that we don't want to be a partner with. Also, if they're acting under the authority, then there's been a communication failure to us. Because we don't know. We're hearing this for the first time tonight.
So I will go back to look at my record, and I will put in my update this Friday.
That's a start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
and President
Yeah.
Hammond, I'm asking that the pending board issues be modified to say that topic will come back as a study session or agenda item or something in the next couple of months.
The minimum is a staff report prior to, minimum. Okay, I agree. Okay. Was there something else?
Why are you looking
Oh, no,
at me?
I was,
Something else for
no,
me?
no,
What are
I,
you implying?
nothing, I'm not at all.
Birdie?
No, you have good ideas.
Okay then. It's not that funny, Brian.
I think I'll just sit back.
We need to include the date for our State of the Schools on upcoming board issues. It's not on the calendar. It needs to get put on the calendar and well advertised so that it doesn't conflict with other events in the community, and as well as the people who want to attend to be able to attend.
President Hammond, if I may, a few meetings ago, you mentioned you wanted to discuss the, never mind. You mentioned that you wanted the board to discuss the, our PR firm in regards to the last date of this school's address. Do we want to have that discussion before the next date of the schools, or do we need to wait until our contract is up with our PR firm?
I would not think we'd have it wait. I think what we'd like to do, Dr. Jackson, is have a staff report, please, on options for what that will look like, and we could have that probably within a month.
And could we have when our contract with our current PR firm expires?
Yes, I think we did
included in
that.
I think a lot of
As
this
a
is.
reminder?
I think a lot of this needs to be under new business
Sorry.
versus
Right.
pending.
Sorry.
Well,
Let's-
it depends. If we're gonna put it on pending board issue with a due date, then, yeah.
Well, the state of the schools should
Do
have
we
been
need to make
under
it
pending, and locking in the date, I guess, is new business, but that should have already been on pending, and new business for the marketing firms.
Well, but since President Hammond has brought it up before, then shouldn't it be moved to
It's got to be on.
pending? No? Okay.
It needs to
Is it
be.
the state of the
needs-
schools is
I
not
mean,
on?
we have a published pending board issues. And these topics are not on it. So we need to put it on.
Put it on new business.
Under new business to
Okay.
have it added to upcoming issues.
And if Darvin's already
So
written
have
that, we
Dr.
can
Jackson.
have a very short new business
Yeah,
meeting.
I mean, we could.
We've never waited to put an item on pending board issues until new business. When it needs to be added to pending board issues, we always discussed it at this point in the agenda.
So Kathy, Darvin.
Hey, Darvin,
We'll get there in just a minute. Is there any other comments about the pending board issues? Okay. We will move on to.
Poor President Hammond, you were going to mention the work that's been done with the lobbyists.
That came in the update already.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Up next is, are we all good? We're good there? Okay, we're on the old business. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be here on February the 12th, and again on February the 26th. We now have new business, and the boardwalks will be on Plymouth on Friday, February 28th, And there's a number of other dates to add to the calendar. There's a pupil-free day on Monday, January the 27th. The State of the City will be held on Wednesday, January the 29th. Lincoln's birthday on Monday, February 10, and again, President's Day on Monday, February 7th. All school sites will be closed. And the issues that we just talked about to be added onto new business, Dr. Jackson, could you tell me what they are to make sure we have them?
You want to give me the list?
You would like for the state of the schools to be added to pending board issues, PR options to be added to pending board issues, and then an update from Amigos de los Rios on the Santa Fe and Plymouth options, also added to pending board issues as well. Is that correct? Or am I missing
Well,
anything?
I'd like the staff report.
You want the staff report?
Staff report for
on
that
those,
one.
yes. And a staff report on the PR firm.
Yes.
Does that sound right? Are we good? Okay. Okay, we are going to recess the regular Board of Education meeting and take up a closed session. But when we come back here to adjourn, we will be adjourning in memory of Nancy Ann Lujan, who is the mother of MHS Associate Principal Mr. Phil Lujan, who passed away on January the 10th, and also Mary Alarcon, who is the mother of Wild Road custodian Ray Alarcon, who passed away on the 19th. Our thoughts and prayers will be with those families. And we'll be going into closed session.